Thank you, James. When the evening's over, I know for a fact that you will have a lot of information, and you'll see the direction that we're wanting to lead the city and the support that you have from these gentlemen right up here. These folks have come to the forefront, and they didn't walk the walk, they didn't talk the walk, they took action and they walked the walk. And the first person I want to introduce tonight is not only a gentleman that I got the utmost respect for on a professional level. I mean, we're talking about an admiral in the Navy. We're talking about a doctor. We're talking about a gentleman that served in the White House. He's fighting for conservatives. He's fighting for our country. He's trying to save our country. He works with the governor. He's down on the border. He's just done so many things. And not only that, he's never, ever forgotten the city of Runaway Bay. Let's hear it for Ronnie Jackson.
Well, look, I'm just honored to be here again. I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the water project that we have going on, and this is thanks to Mayor White here, because I wouldn't even be involved in this if he hadn't been super aggressive. He was really aggressive early on about making sure I understood what the problem was, and wanting to know what I was going to help do from a federal level about fixing it. And he invited me up here, and we sit down, and I brought my team up here. I brought my deputy chief of staff and my district director, Brian Brody, up here, and we sit down and we listen to all the presentations. We got a real good sense of what the issue was and why it was important not only to the city of Runaway Bay, but to everybody else that relies on that water downstream. But look, the Runaway Bay wastewater infrastructure we know has deteriorated over recent years. Over the last few years, the Texas Commission of Environmental Quality has issued numerous boil water notices after thousands of gallons of wastewater have been discharged into the lake following rainstorms. And we know this is the issue. If you get a big rain around here, then it impacts the water and the water that you can use. So fiscal year 2024. A lot of people wondered what I was going to do on this issue, and I'll be honest with you, when I first got to Congress, people talked about earmarks, referred to now as community project funding request, but also referred to as earmarks, and even before that referred to as pork. It's an issue that's in Congress. It's been heavily abused by some members of Congress when they have all this money that's appropriated, and then they put these earmarks together to spend the money on certain projects for their district or for their state that are just complete garbage, stuff that most of us would never support or never back. They're not good, solid projects. Well, when I got into Congress, I found out that the appropriations process works such that money gets appropriated no matter what. The money is going to get appropriated in a certain amount to all the different components of all the different appropriations packages. We have 12 of them they have to put together, and each one of those appropriations lanes gets a certain amount of money based on the budget from the House, the budget from the Senate, the President's budget that comes over, whatever, and a final number comes together, and the money gets appropriated. The issue with the earmarks, which we can now call the community project funding, is that determines where some of that money gets spent. And so I sit down and had lots of in-depth conversations about whether or not I would do this, because initially I was opposed to it. It just didn't seem to be in my nature to support something like this. But what I realized is, and I verified this through talking to lots of folks and looking and digging deep into how the process works, is that money gets appropriated whether it comes to places like Runaway Bay or not. The money gets spent. It just goes somewhere else. It goes to another member of Congress, maybe in another state even, to spend that money on some of their woke projects, some of the LGBT centers, and the trans centers that they're building, things of that nature. That's what gives these projects a bad name. But if we don't act proactively to try to get some of that money for the 13th Congressional District to do real legitimate projects like your wastewater project, that money just goes elsewhere. So I came to the determination that I would take the arrows for supporting to the extent that and it hasn't been that much, because I think people understand that we've done some good stuff with but the community project funding. I just said I was gonna participate in that program, so I did. We put together 14 projects for community funding in this last in this last set of appropriations, and we got 13 of them funded, and one of them was the wastewater project here. But everything we did, we're very picky about how we pick these projects. We don't pick them. We let the communities and the governments, the local and state governments help us decide what's important for the 13th Congressional District of Texas, and they have to back that up, and it has to be something legitimate. We've got projects in there for Pantex in the Amarillo area, which is the #1 employer in the Panhandle of Texas. That's where they build and disassemble all of the nuclear weapons for the entire United States. We have stuff in there to support them. We have stuff to support Shepherd Air Force Base. We have stuff to support the Red River Water Authority and some of the stuff for the water for this part of the district. And then we have this wastewater stuff here. But I'm just going to tell you real quick what we did. That's just a background of how we got this. But look, in March, we passed the FY24 federal government funding. It included $1.75 million to begin the construction of the wastewater project here in Runaway Bay. So we got $1.75 million dedicated to Runaway Bay. This funding, this is FY24, this is fiscal year 2024. This funding is going to allow the city to replace 2 gravity main lines. It's going to allow them it's going to be used to conduct a capital improvement plan for a wastewater system, which will help the city identify and understand what projects need to be prioritized and completed. Additionally, this funding will complete a new rate study, which will allow the city to bring additional revenue to meet non-federal match requirements for additional community project funding requests and completing new projects identified in the capital improvement plan. So I want you to see this. This is $1.75 million. This is getting the ball rolling. This is starting. We have got to get the ball rolling. We got to get this project moving. We got to figure out exactly how the best way to attack this is. Then we got to have the money ready to go to do this. So we did that. This first phase of funding is a multi-year improvement project that will allow the city to make these critical investments into its wastewater system. Now, here's the kicker. So FY 2025, those are the appropriations that are coming up now. If you don't follow what happens in D.C., it's pretty dysfunctional up there. We should have had the FY 24 appropriations projects, all that funding done September of last year, by September 30 of last year. Look, it's a dysfunctional place. It didn't get done. It usually gets pushed to the end of the year, to December, and they wait until everybody's about to leave for the Christmas holidays. They put all of the appropriations, all 12 of those appropriations bills that are supposed to be individually evaluated and passed, they put them into a big package called an omnibus bill. They put all kinds of garbage in there. It's thousands and thousands and thousands of pages. They dump it on the floor of the House, 24 hours before the vote, and they expect everybody to vote on it. And I said, I'm not doing that. I will not vote on that. I don't care what's in it. I don't know what's in it. There's no way to know what's in it. I'm going to vote no on it, right? Well, I wasn't the only one that was standing my ground on that, and some of the others, and our Speaker, Mike Johnson, that we have now, said he wasn't going to support the omnibus bill either. However, what did happen, it's kind of unfortunate, what they did is they took those 12 appropriations bills that they normally cram into that omnibus bill and pass at the end of the year. They split them into 2 separate packages that passed. The first one passed in March, and we passed the second one just the other day. But they passed them in what they now refer to as minibuses. So they just split it into 2, and they passed the 2 minibuses. Now, here's where so I put all 14 of my appropriations, my community project requests into these bills and worked hard to make sure that they were supported, through all the committees and everything, and that they were sound. And we worked hard with Mayor White and everybody else that participated in these to make sure that the numbers were right and we could justify what we were asking for. So we did that, and then these minibuses came up, and I'll have to admit to you, I voted no on both the minibuses because it's much the same process as the omnibus, right? And there was a lot of crap in there. There was a lot of garbage in there. There was tons of these liberal members from Washington State and New York and California that put all kinds of stuff in there related to their woke agenda and their Green New Deal and all the stuff that I cannot and will not support, right? So that stuff was in there. There was funding in there for Ukraine, which I won't support until we secure our own southern border, right? So, but there was a lot of this kind of stuff in there, so I voted no on both of these minibuses. But the good news here is that they got enough Democrats to cross the line and vote with Republicans. Good news for Runaway Bay. Bad news maybe for the whole country because of all the other crap that was in there. But it passed. And so it passed, and now we've got the money here in Runaway Bay, okay? So what we're doing right now is we're working on FY25, because remember I told you it's supposed to be passed by September of last year. So September of this year is when we're supposed to have the FY25 money. So what we're doing is we're picking this, we're looking at this FY24 money as the first step in the process to fix what's broken here in Runaway Bay. Right? And so we are going to go back at it again. We're going to ask for more money next time. We're going to continue to fund this project. In FY24, the city submitted a funding request for the second phase of the wastewater improvement plan. And this is a lot of hard work on their part. Lots and lots of hard work. They're working closely with my office to get this done, but you guys have been doing a great job on that. Make it easy for us. This will finish the other 7 projects that have been identified by Freeze and Nicholas, the infrastructure consulting company. Some of the folks are here. I met them earlier. These projects include 2 additional gravity main replacements, a lift station rehabilitation and expansion, a water and wastewater treatment plant improvements, multiple improvements in that, and a sewer system testing and manhole replacements. So we're going back to the well. We're going to get more money. That 1.75 is only the tip of the iceberg until we get this problem fixed. We're also taking another avenue as well. There's another way that we can get some money that we're also looking at as well, and that is the 2024 Water Resource Development Act, which is it's associated with the Army Corps of Engineers, and it gets passed every year. So this year, Congress is going to pass the 2024 Water Resource Development Act. It authorizes the Army Corps of Engineers to help with the construction of wastewater projects. It's just a matter of where they're going to spend that money. So we're working with the city here to gain additional investments for the wastewater system by submitting a request through the Water Resource Development Act process to get full authorization specifically for the city's water and wastewater infrastructure. We put that request in earlier this year, and that authorization is going to help us get additional resources in addition to the ones I've said, and it's going to help us also justify the future appropriations that we're going to need to fix this problem. You guys know, you've been in these meetings before, this is a huge problem. It's going to require lots of money, way more money than the city of Runaway Bay can provide. You can't be expected to to carry this burden on your own. That's why, I'm trying to do my job at the federal level. I know my counterparts up here in the Texas House and Senate are working hard to make sure that they provide any of the state funds, and they're going to brief you on that. But we have certain things we need to spend money on. I want us to spend money on the things that the government's supposed to be spending money on for our national defense, for our security, and for our infrastructure stuff in this country, our roads, our bridges, our wastewater, things that we need. I want them to stay out of our day-to-day lives. I want them to stop telling us how to live our lives, and I want them to stop spending money on garbage like their woke agenda and the Green New Deal, and I want them to do their job and secure our border and fix our wastewater and provide for national defense. And so I will keep continuing to work hard and make sure we do that. I want to thank you guys again for having me here. I'm always at your disposal. You let me know if you need anything. If you need to get a hold of me and you don't know how to get a hold of Mayor White, he has my contact information. Please feel free to reach out to me directly, and I will help you if I can. If not, I will put you in touch with somebody in my office or somebody in Congress that can fix your problem. So thank you. I appreciate you guys having me here tonight. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Folks, Mr. Jackson, Dr. Jackson has to leave. He's got a flight to get out of here. He's going to be on Fox and Friends in the morning, so y'all look for him. It's really exciting how hard he's working, and the amount of efforts and the amount of work that everybody here in the city council and all these wonderful senators and state representatives. And by the way, the support level that we have is just unbelievable. And we do have a special guest tonight, David Spiller. Would you please stand up? David Spiller is a senator out of Jack County, and he's been very, very helpful in working with Tan Parker and Mr. Stuckey here, Dr. Stuckey, to help push these things through our pipe to get this kind of money. All right, the next speaker that I have here, I just cannot tell you how much respect that I've gained for him in a short period of time. I can call him at 9 or 10 o'clock, and if he's up, he'll call me back. He's worked diligently. He's worked hard. He's worked for us in many ways that most people don't know, because and sometimes we take things for face value, and we really don't know what's happening behind the scenes. There's a lot of work. There's a lot of things that are going on at a lot of different times. There's a lot of different multitasking that has to be done. And these gentlemen here are fighting hard for you. And this next guy here is unbelievable in his relentless effort to help us take care of these issues. Mr. Tan Parker. Senator Tan Parker.
Well, it's great to be with all of you. You guys all fired up. What a great Sunday night. And Mayor, thank you so much for your very kind introduction. It's great to be with all of you and to be here in Runaway Bay. And of course, I think Congressman Jackson did a terrific job giving you an overview of what's been taking place here during the last year. But let's give Congressman Jackson a big round of applause again for getting that $1.75 million. Really unbelievable. He did a terrific job for Runaway Bay and for Wise County in getting that done. And he, of course, described the process that we've been all in the midst of here this last year. I remember, roughly a year ago when Mayor White called me and Representative Stuckey and Judge Clark and the Commissioner's Court and talked about this problem. And we realized we had a massive problem that we needed to address, and we needed to pull together as a team to focus on getting it solved. And we couldn't have been more blessed to have a greater partner than Congressman Jackson at the federal level to get that money. Obviously, from our state perspective, and Dr. Stuckey will talk about this more as well, we've been working to engage all of these various entities at our disposal here in Texas. We do have a lot of capabilities, but a lot of them, frankly, take time. They're complex to try to go through the qualification process, to sort out all the paperwork and so forth to get things done. But I want you to know that we're committed. We're in the corner here of Runaway Bay to do whatever it takes to get any and every dollar possible from the state of Texas to support this problem that must be addressed. And so in the end of the day, it will be you all working together with us at the local level with Mayor White's wonderful leadership and that of your council, all of us at the state level and, of course, the federal level to continue to get the resources so that our friends here tonight at Freese-Nichols can do a great job in getting to work and solving the problems once and for all that exist here in this county, and here specifically, obviously, in Runaway Bay. So we're a citizen legislature. Just to kind of reset everybody, we're a citizen legislature. So when Representative Stuckey, Representative Spiller, myself, in the Senate, we're down there. We're business people or professionals in the law practice, or whether or not we're professional in Lynn's case of being a veterinarian. We really voluntarily serve to give back to Texas. It's a tremendous honor. It's the greatest honor and privilege of our professional lives to do what we do. And so over a 140-day regular session last year and 4 special sessions, we were focused on tackling the people's business. And so there's nothing more important than talking about infrastructure. Infrastructure takes a lot of different approaches. First of all, infrastructure, of course, is water. So addressing this specific problem here is enormous. But we also have problems with water across this entire state. The scarcity of water will become one of the major issues that will face Texas in the next 10 and 20 years. And I'll tell you, one of the things that we're working on with Mayor White right now, Mayor White and I are working on scheduling, put together a meeting with the governor, Representative Stuckey, and all of us are working to do that to make sure this happens. So we talk about specifically with the governor the water challenges that are here, as well as addressing the problems with fentanyl that are flowing here into Wise County and all the challenges that it poses. So I want you to know how blessed you are to have an incredible man at the helm here as your great mayor. Mayor White is doing a phenomenal job. Yes, he calls me at 9 and 10 o'clock at night because he's working himself at 9 and 10 and 11 and 12 at night around the clock for the people of this community. He's doing a spectacular job, and I want you to know that you have no greater fan, no greater supporter than you do in your current mayor and the job that he does for the people of Runaway Bay. So, but again, it's the greatest honor and privilege of my professional life to represent you, and we always got your back here in Runaway Bay. God bless. Have a great night.
Let's hear it for Tan Parker. The next guest we have is a person that showed up right in the beginning and got his feet steadfast, worked hard, and worked diligently day and night to help declare the emergency that we were having here and rally other cities in our county and develop a tremendous organization of alliances here to help cure our problems. But the next guest that we have here is a great leader. Not only is he a great leader, he's a great person, and he has gone to bat for this city. And what an honor to have these caliber of people here on a Sunday night taking care and working for our city. Mr. J.D. Clark, our county judge.
Well, thank you very much. Good evening. So to let you know a little bit about what we're working on, a lot of it is hazard mitigation. We've done a countywide hazard mitigation plan with our cities, in collaboration with our cities, because emergencies, disasters don't look at city limits and don't see where the city of Runaway Bay stops, where it's an unincorporated county. That affects all of us. And so we try and approach it from that way. One of the biggest things we've got going that goes live on April 28th is a brand new public safety radio communication system. Beyond that, some other things that we've got going, we got a grant from Texas A&M University to do a hazardous materials study, and then to build off that, provide the correct training for first responders to know how do you respond for those particular materials. We currently have a grant that's in final FEMA review right now that would create a Wise County safe room or storm shelter program. What that would do is if you build a safe room or a storm shelter in your house, we could reimburse you half of that with this FEMA grant funding. We also, you may have seen an article recently in the Messenger about a controlled wildfire training and burn that we did on a ranch over in the west part of the county. So we're making sure our firefighters are trained in that and the wildfire training. We have just purchased and are installing flood sensors in some of our worst flooding areas in Wise County to be able to keep a better eye on in real time when storms are coming. And with EMS, the emergency management system, that's county ambulance system. We have a county department ambulance system that's getting rarer and rarer, but you get a whole different quality of care when it's your county EMS guys that are running the ambulance, and it's not just a for-profit contract who's just seeing numbers and running calls that way. And they're absolutely phenomenal. We got our EMS guys trained in swiftwater rescue, and we have gotten them a swiftwater rescue boat so that they can respond better to emergencies, not just on Lake Bridgeport. That's where everybody's first thought goes, of course, for those. We have a lot of those water rescues out at the LBJ grasslands because people are out there for recreation, going hiking, not from here. They get in situations on the water and are in a real bind. And finally, another issue that you may have seen recently is blood on board. That's new in Wise County, and it's very rare for an ambulance service to have. We invested in the equipment to actually have blood on board our ambulances so that you don't have to wait for the hospital to get there if you're in need of blood right now. Our guys can administer that to you on the way in the ambulance. And it's really phenomenal. We're better prepared than we've ever been. It's those things that we don't want to have to use, but mitigation is better than preparedness because we're taking active steps to mitigate potential disasters that we know will come. Hazard mitigation, too, goes beyond other just natural things like that, and it extends to the water situation in Runaway Bay, and that's why we got involved. We're not the city of Runaway Bay. We don't provide city infrastructure, but we're a partner and we're an advocate. And water issues, if you've got contaminated water, that doesn't know a city limit either. That affects a lot more people than just beyond who own or who are using that system. And that's why we jumped in when the city expressed this concern. And we passed a resolution through the Commissioner's Court and rallied some other cities, including Bridgeport and Decatur, to do the same, to basically say, hey, we're just a neighbor, but we need you to back Runaway Bay in this and give them whatever funding and help you can find for them. Whatever grant they're applying for, give it to them. Whatever funding's available for the Water Development Board, they need it because it's not just a city issue, it's a much bigger regional issue. And we hope and we think that when we do that and we unite our voices, maybe it gets a little bit more attention on it than it was just one city talking about it. And I say, well, that's just a one city issue. No, you got a lot of cities. You got the county talking about this and saying this is real, they need help. And we're going to continue to do that, whether it's on a water contamination issue or anything else that comes up. We're here to be a partner to Runaway Bay, and we're going to be your friend and keep this county strong together by being good neighbors. And Mayor, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. When all of this started happening is the city grew and we were inundated from all different parts of the country wanting to get out of where they were at and come to Texas because of our great quality of life. We were starting to get inundated from all of the Fort Worth and the Dallas areas wanting to get out of the Metroplex. We had so much growth so quickly, we were unable to take care of it. And the city is not only liable for our city, but we are also liable for our ETJ and also our CCN. And this old infrastructure, and when this development was started, it was a development. It was nothing but just a place for people to come to as a resort community, and it wasn't designed for a city. And when the city was incorporated, it didn't take in all the ETJs and all the restrictions and stuff of that nature left. And so while this all was building and all the years that it came, there was just so many issues out there that we weren't able to take care of because it is now in the county, but we are liable for taking care of the water and the sewer there. And as the years went by, and when the pipes and the lines and the cracks and all the infrastructure started to deteriorate, all of a sudden it happened all at once. And when we were dumping hundreds and hundreds of thousands of gallons of sewer into the lake, we panicked. We needed help. And the next gentleman I'm going to introduce to you was the first to show up at our doorstep and help declare the emergency and bring in the team to help us get started. So let's give Dr. Stuckey the courtesy and the respect that we need to do for what he did for us.
Thank you, Mayor. I need to one-up our senator. I think he texted me at 3 in the morning, the mayor, that is. So, but he's always working. And you guys are really blessed to have a great mayor and great county government all working together. And it was an honor and a privilege to represent you the last 2 years and work with Senator Parker and Representative Spiller. The opportunity to work with you guys is just amazing. We are blessed at the state level, and Senator Parker, he was House broke. He started out in the House and then went over to the Senate, and we got to work over there quite a while. But there's a number of programs that we can help or get to, and I wanted to talk a little bit more about spillers. I'm going to talk a little bit about water, but I'm not going to sit there and bore you to death on the different programs that we have at the state. But there's 3 things when I go block walking that people want to know about. What are you doing about border security? How about our property tax? And then water. Those are the 3 biggest issues I hear in House District 64. And the primary author of SB 4, which now is allowing us, and hopefully will, if we ever get the Democrats to quit suing us, will allow us to take somebody who crosses into the United States and turn them back immediately. And even though there's 2,000 miles of border between us and Mexico, and we have 1,254 miles right here in the state of Texas. That's 66%. And a few years ago, 66% of the illegal immigrants were coming across in Texas. Today, we're down to less than 30%, I believe, because number one, together we're working to shut down El Paso, Brownsville, and now the Eagle Pass area, Shelby Park. And it's sending a message. We're putting the wire up. And now the federal government, as Senator Parker said, is not doing their job. There's laws on the book that says you don't just cross into our state. We're not telling you you can't. We want you to cross in one of the 28 legal ports of entry. And some of these people are crossing in water. When the last time I was down there, the water was up 9 feet, and you have more drownings. 2 years ago, we had 121 drownings just trying to cross the Rio Grande. This last year, it was less than half of that because the wire also keeps them from trying to cross the technology. And now we're building more wall than Trump has built. And I'm hoping he gets back there and helps us build even more. But we're in the process of building a wall. But if you didn't get to come in February, we had Governor Abbott come to Wise County for the first time, and he talked a lot about the water and how important it is. And we do want him to get back and get together with Mayor White and talk about the water issues and the fentanyl issues that we have from the illegal immigration and the drug trafficking. Besides the Texas Water Fund, there's about 5 other funds that we have that we can utilize to help low-interest loans and get more money to keep the snowball rolling from what Representative Jackson has started. But I'm not going to talk about those specifics. I want the Freeson Nichols representative that's here Travis Kelly to do some of that, because we have a plan on how to get this fixed for Runaway Bay. And I am committed. I believe Representative Spiller and I believe Senator Parker are committed to help you guys get this problem solved. So together we'll work together and we'll get this taken care of. I'm honored to represent you, and I look forward to representing you in the future. With that, thank you, Mayor.
With Dr. Stuckey, we were honored to go to a meeting with the governor over in Decatur, and we were having the opportunity to meet with him, talking about these issues of water. And I'm very committed, for a lot of different reasons, to help the governor fight whatever he has to do, tooth and nail, to get rid of fentanyl. And so these are one of the two reasons why we do have an opportunity to go meet with him very, very soon. Our next speaker is Travis Kelly from Friesen Nichols, one of the largest engineering firms in the world. I'm going to bring Mr. Kelly up and let him start his presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor. Thanks so much for having me, and really appreciate it. This is my third community event to do to talk about the work we're helping y'all with the wastewater challenges. But I wanted to show you just sort of the big picture, what putting a plan together looks like. And what this all started, as far as Friesen Nichols is concerned, is July 6th of 2022, when we came to Runaway Bay and heard exactly what y'all were dealing with, shared photos, and met there were some citizens there, some council members, and really got the full picture of what was going on here. And we left that day with some real serious homework and trying to figure out how we could be of service to you and help you get through it. And I'll tell you, I do work across the state with communities that are in similar situations, that are in dire need of resources and attention, and now and fast and yesterday, and we don't experience the kind of political support at all levels like we do here in Runaway Bay. We just don't do it. And a lot of that's probably because of 3 a.m. phone calls from the mayor. And I'll say to further credit, when I see the senator, the state rep, the judge, whether in the district or out of the district, that y'all have support, not just with Mayor White, which is strong, but also in the State House in Austin and obviously in D.C. So moving on down the timeline, both the FY24 funds, which were just signed into law March 9th, and then that same week was trading emails and having phone calls with his office about the FY25 appropriations process. And he was doing that ahead of any process being laid out by the committee. And so I want to dovetail a little bit about what he shared, which is, he read off the projects that would be funded by the FY24 dollars. A big piece of that, 2 sewer line projects, of course, but another piece of that, the mayor's been real insistent, is how can we get out of this problem? How can we make sure that the problem is not going to come back and come back and come back? We need something to plan by, something to go by, to tell us what our future is going to look like and how we can plan for that. And we do that a lot, and it's called a capital improvement plan. And what we do is we do a facilities assessment where the folks much smarter than me that work for Friesen Nichols will assess all of the city's wastewater facilities and have an inventory and come together with a list of projects. One of the things that we helped the city put together was a project information form, a PIF. It was about a 60-some-odd page application that was submitted to the Water Development Board to apply for funding. And a lot of the reason for that is because that fund was so oversubscribed. There are way more cities, way more needs than there is funding available, and that's a lot of what Dr. Stuckey was talking about, trying to address. We all have addressed, and the legislature is making more funds available, and that's what 77% of Texans voted for on November 7th, was to bring that $1 billion to bear, in part to address these issues. So you'll get closer and closer to the top as other projects get funded, and as your application gets more and more attractive, and that's what we're working on. And so for 2024, you'll have a total of $2.25 million to spend. And then in 2025, what was submitted last week, or the middle part of March, that the mayor approved, was a request for a total of $4.5 million in project funding. About 3.2 of that is federal. So all that'll come to bear. And then we have a multi-year approach to this, crawl, walk, run. And come FY26, we will have the benefit of this capital improvement program, capital improvement plan. We'll know what your most dire needs are. We'll have cost estimates for all these projects, and that will inform the FY26 ask and all the subsequent applications for state funding as well. And then there are two other local, there's one other line in the water that we have that actually also came through Congressman Jackson, and that's through the Army Corps of Engineers. And it's a separate fund just for projects in Texas, and every year Congress puts a bucket of money in that program that gets allocated, and it's by application, and it's run by the Fort Worth District. And so we have supported the city's application for those funds with Congressman Jackson. So these are all the numbers that I've talked about before that are applied for. The first one is 2024. That money is en route. It's a EPA program that it was funded through, so the funds are coming through the EPA, awarded to the city, and the city will manage those funds according to the rules of that program. And then likewise, the FY25 funds will have to be approved by Congress and all the rest of it and go through that process. And I think that's it. And one thing that I've worked closely with the mayor on is making sure, because these opportunities all have a local match requirement, what you don't want to do is just fire off a whole bunch of applications and have them all say yes, and then you're on the hook for a significant local match that the city can't sustain, the city can't afford. So what we're trying to do is stage these out such the local dollars stretch further, it brings in federal and state resources, and you put together a long-term plan so that over the course of several years you've addressed the most dire problems, and you're setting yourself up where you're not having the same conversation 20, 30 years from now. And that's a form that it sounds pretty simple, just a form. Well, that was the 60 some odd page application that we prepared for the city, and it was submitted to the Water Development Board. And the way the board works is that the top 32 projects were invited to then go back and provide a full application. Now, the full application, if you think 68 pages was a lot, the full application is a whole lot. It could be tens of thousands of dollars just charged just to fill out the application. And thankfully, they don't ask every applicant to do this, just those that are most likely to get selected to be awarded dollars. And so because Runaway Bay's application did not rank high enough to get invited, they did not have to incur that cost or go through the effort. Otherwise, it wouldn't have made sense. It would have been tens of thousands of dollars spent to just not even sit on the board's shelf. It would have sit on the mayor's shelf. So, yeah, they did forego that opportunity.
Right.
Correct. So, I don't know if you have any questions.
Any questions?
Well, Mayor, but I'll be here anytime you call. I'll be here. So when we're putting together your capital improvement plan, these are the things that we're trying to accomplish. We want you to make sure you have regulatory compliance, that you're accommodated for growth, the system is reliable. These are the things these are sort of the goals of a comprehensive plan. So yeah. So this is one of the uses of the funds for the 2024 appropriation, so that coming out of that, you know what your biggest needs are. There are also some on-the-ground sewer line replacements, some things that will make a real difference once they're done immediately, and then some planning for the future to make sure those next dollars that are requested, you have real confidence in what they're being requested to be used on and so forth. I hope that helps. Yes, sir.
What would be the implementation timeframe if the city receives the money? When would all this actually begin?
That is the $2.25 million question, right? So all these calendars are off a little bit because, as the congressman mentioned, the budget for the fiscal year that began October 1 didn't get signed until March 9. So typically, you would have to expend all these dollars within that fiscal year, but because it's all delayed, and we have unfortunately a lot of experience with these types of delays, you're typically given a calendar year from that March 9 signing date when the bill was effective. And I mentioned it was an EPA program, so we expect it to take, the congressman's office estimates 3 to 5 months at the most to get from the EPA to the city. So what we're working on now is making sure the city understands very well that specific program, the procurement requirements, the record keeping, all those requirements of that program, so that when the money comes in, they're ready to go. And so we've been prepared in this master plan that we've discussed. We do these all the time, and I keep my leadership, my technical leadership, engaged in what's going on here. They know this funding is en route, so they can make sure they have resources allocated for when this money hits. That we're not tied up doing some of their project. You know, I'll have to now wait on us. So you're always first, not just in my heart. Yeah.
Todd Lowe has done such an excellent job as a city councilman. He's a very, very valuable individual that you need to really consider to vote for in this next election. And since he's not here, Mr. Staten, his boss, has decided he'd come up and speak and say a few words in his behalf. Mr. Staten.
I got blessed in my legal life. The governor of this great state allowed me to be your district attorney in January of 21. I'm very humbled by that. I was also very humbled that I had a lot of support in the community and in this community. A lot of people that I didn't know called and reached out, and I sincerely appreciate that. When I come into the office, one of the first things I did was hire Todd right out from under my friend Che, the county attorney. He was very happy about that, I'm sure. And I brought him back to the team. So he's part of my team. I trust him absolutely. I trust him in my office. I trust his investigation. I trust everything about him, and I've known him 20 years. You would do well to keep him working in your city. And I'm proud to be here and speak about him today. So I thank you. Thank you, Mayor White.
The next gentleman I'd like to introduce is to you, Mr. Richard Griffin.
I'll try to be very, very brief. The mayor approached me and said, we need some kind of technical assistance with freezing nickels whenever they get boots on the ground. But I was asked to look at our infrastructure, what type of shape it's in. So I started gathering data that was wasting away in our shop area because we didn't have a proper storage area. And so I've accumulated a little over 6 gigabytes of data for my mapping of this. This is just the sewer system. If I'm reelected, hopefully, I'll work on the water system. And I'm photocopying every bit of our blueprint system and putting it in computer systems, and we're going to transfer that into our diamond map system. So this is going to be able to be aiding freezing nickels whenever they come in and put boots on the ground to look to see, okay, where's our elevation problems. This is our current diamond map drawing for our main water line coming into the city. But we have our water line all the way from the lake. It was put in 1981. There was no documentation. And so we had a survey come in and actually draw out where the water line was and give us some sort of easement if we have to repair this line. This is the actual GPS location of our current water line. It goes through 2 separate properties owned by local individuals, but Texas law, we're not allowed on that property without permission. And so it's recommended that we have an easement so that we can work on these lines. The Bay Church, and we're in favor for population growth, and we would like to see a children's building. The water line runs very, very close to the foundation preparation. And so we want to be very, very careful how we engineer this water maintenance for this particular area. The mayor has asked me to help freezing nickels when they do get the boots on the ground, showing these documentations, helping them find out where exactly the elevations are, where the lines need to be, all of the different major repairs that we're going to be planning in the future.
Okay,
That's
well,
me.
let's hear it from Mr. Griffin.
Thank you.
What Richard's talking about there is that we have a real big issue with our intake that was put there in 1982. So the first thing we have to do is to protect the city and for your water and being able to get to your water plant. Because eventually, as we grow, we're going to have and we're going to have to need a larger line here in the future. We have to think about our children. We've got to think about our grandkids, and we've got to think about all the things that are coming in the future. And as we grow, we're going to have more water. The old line and the old plant would only produce 600 gallons a minute. And when we come online with a new one very soon, it will be pumping 1,200 gallons per minute. So when you have that kind of pressure added additional, we know it's not about if, it's about when we have water breaks and water issues with that line coming through there. And so this is basically what Richard has taken on because he is an engineer and he has the ability to work with all the church officials and with my son on the easements that we will have to end up giving to the city in order for them to protect our water lines. Okay, I want to go on at this point and introduce our next speaker, our sewer expert. Mr. Lewis, come on.
My name is Lewis Booth with Texas Rural Water Association. I am a wastewater technician, and I have about half of the state. Roddy, I've been working with, Roddy Baker. He is the wastewater superintendent over in Decatur, and he has told me all about Runaway Bay. And so Texas Rural Water, we are a free resource. We are funded through the USDA to be a free resource to any town under 10,000 population. We provide grant writers, so hopefully we can reach out and get more grants for your city. We were talking about the capacity. Main issue right now was the capacity questions about Runaway Bay's wastewater treatment plant. So we've done, every year you have an annual average flow for your wastewater treatment plant. Yours here runs about 83 to 86,000 gallons a day, which is very low. Your capacity for the whole plant, 100% capacity, is 400,000 gallons a day. So basically, you're running at 21% of your wastewater plant's capacity. So you have plenty of capacity to take on the flow there at the plant. Now, the infrastructure can be a totally different issue. You know, the aging infrastructure is what a lot of people have been speaking about tonight. And that's something that's going to be addressed, obviously, with these monies that are coming in soon. So you can rest assured your plant has plenty of room to be able to handle these things once the infrastructure is corrected. Let's see, what else? Oh yeah, he wanted me to tell you guys that Roddy Baker has been with the city for about a year, and he's been doing a great job. He's been with the city of Decatur for about 10 years. He does have a Class A wastewater treatment license, so that is the highest license you can have. So you guys have a really good, smart individual in Roddy here working for you guys. And we are here to back him up in any way we can, and the mayor and City Hall, and anything that we can do from our end to help out, we want to do. If you guys have any questions about the wastewater or the sewer plant, I will be here. I will be here afterwards. You feel free to find me. I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. And thank you, Mayor, for allowing me to be here and speak.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We have one more guest I want to introduce to you, and I got to go back one moment in the meeting tonight about the coalitions that we've been able to work and build together. Through our long-term relationships with not only our senators and our state representatives and our congressmen, our grandchildren are living here and growing here, and my heart and my passion and my stamina and my desire is to do nothing but to make this city a better place, not only now, but in the future for my grandchildren and yours. For the ones here tonight that don't know a whole lot about me, I came here in 1980, at the end of 84, the first of 85, and the city was in bankruptcy, and I knew the first mayor and all the first city councilmen. I've been able to live comfortably here in Runaway Bay for a long time, and I intend to live here and die here. And I am going to be dedicated to you for a long period of time if you allow me to stay. But first of all, I want to go back to the coalitions that we've been able to make through these long-term commitments and friendships. At one time in Runaway Bay, we were paying over $300,000 to run our water department. And we've been able to bring that down and bring people in-house and train and have our own people that work for our city. And we've been able to get the advantage of being able to use the expertise, because Decatur, Texas itself had a gentleman over here. Would you please stand up, Tony? This gentleman here is Tony Estes, and he is your guy that's running your water department. And one of the great things about having him with us is that he's on a contract to run our water department. And I just wanted to thank you. We're glad to have you on board, and we'll be able to operate our plant very soon. Is that correct?
As soon as we get a green light from TCEQ.
Okay. Thank you, Tony. I've had the honor to serve you for the last 3 terms of being your mayor. And one of the things that I've learned throughout my life is when you first take over a position, it takes a couple of years really to actually know what you're doing. I do want to show you, as we get started, our budget. And okay, if you look here at the pie and the graph, you'll see that the blue is your largest entity of water and sewer that brings in income to the city. What you'll see there on the back side of it, you'll see that after you take out your cost of operating, you only net about $500,000 a year in income off of that. And with the city budget, you can go on and find this is the actual incomes that was brought into the city based on that. So we're very limited on the amount of money, and I'm very proud of this council because we work diligently, and we're very honored and excited because if you take a look at the talent that we have, Mr. Steve Holt, would you please stand up, sir? Steve Holt is one of the biggest assets that we have in the city because not only is he a great councilman, but he is also the president of a bank. And we work diligently hard in sending texts back and forth and emails on every issue that we have. And with his leadership, we've been able to do some amazing things in the last couple of years. One of the things that I did institute when I became involved on a bigger basis with the city and our employees is that we went out and developed department heads. And what we did is we turned the department heads with the ability not only to answer to a administrator or the mayor, but to actually be able to talk to individually and without any kind of repercussions, that they could actually talk to the council, letting them know really what's going on so that when we do communicate together as a group, we're able to really know the issues and work toward fixing them. I'm going to address one other issue because it is an issue, but we've gone through many crises here in Runaway Bay. We've had COVID, we've had freeze, we've had all kind of things that really interrupted the ability of our life and our ability to function as a city. And we've had issues in the past where we did not have electrical service. And I'm going to go back to one other thing. As we did go through these other issues in our city, we've had to do a lot of things. We had to declare an emergency, which everybody knows. We've been on water rationing. We didn't have the ability even to water our grass. And we had to put on a moratorium so that we could protect the citizens here and have enough water to guarantee that you got drinking water and the ability to water your grass. TCEQ specially noted that there was a failure to provide the minimum water system capability production requirement for retail service connections and contractual obligations, to wit, the water system is required to provide 468 gallons per minute for the retail consumers and service connections. It's contractually obligation to provide 332 GPM for the wholesale customers for a total production requirement of 800 GPM. The plant production capability is 701 GPM, which is 14% deficient. Well, back when I took office the first time, for the first time I took office, there was a plan of Blackstone that our city paid $40,000 for back in 2013. And inside this, if you would ever want to see it, you're welcome to come to City Hall and go over it and look in through it, make an appointment. And it basically was like a master plan telling us what we were going to need to do in order to stay up and make sure that we were able to provide water, to provide sewer, and stay up with it. When we started looking at this, it already told us what the things that we were going to have to do about the water at our treatment plant and having a bigger one, and then being able to have the type of we have to have 150 gallons of elevated storage per tap. We were already over the limit of taps that we had when we were taking office. We were at 87% production of the ability to produce water, and we were within 40 to 50 taps of being able to even stay within the regulations. So when we did declare the emergency and bring people in, and all the state agencies, we didn't hide it. We actually went to them and had them come here and explain to them and let them see all the issues that we were having. Instead of fining us, they worked with us, and they're still working with us. And when we got there last year, when Tony and Rod took over, we had like 33 infractions with the state, and now it's down to 8. So we're making tremendous progress. And there's one other thing I'm going to talk about, and I hope that you'll consider me in this race to allow me to keep serving you. I really had thought maybe that it was time for me to retire, but as many people came to me and said, you really need to stick around. You have all the relationships with the senators, the legislators. I know all of the being here as long as I have been, I know the top players within all the different agencies. We're trying to develop relationships, and as long as I'm here, we're going to keep trying to do that. You know, we need to come together as a city. I'm going to take the bigger step. Tan Parker told me one time that we should be a model city for the rest of the state. No question. And I really believe that our city is like that. During the period of time when we had an emergency within our city of not being able to provide water to our citizens, we didn't have the ability to put taps in, and we didn't know where we were going to be coming up with the ability to provide water. We had a developer that came in and wanted to build a beautiful development, but at the time weren't supplying us the ability or the information that we needed to be able to provide water. To make a long story short, we had to get engineers involved, and the developer was in a hurry and wanted us to, they brought in $6,000 for the water tap and then $6,000 for the sewer tap. And it ended up costing $50,000. Now, that's going to take a long time to repay the $50,000, but we are obligated by the state to supply water to the CCN and also the ETJ. But this developer decided that because of the moratorium that he was going to go ahead and go to the public utility company and file suit. And now our attorneys are working with the judge to dismiss the rest of the case. The way I govern is not from just me making the decisions. I am the CEO, and I do work hard to get information, and I bring it to the council. Every time that we get something from any entity within the state or anything that concerns the city, I forward it to every city councilman. I have the ability to communicate with them on an individual basis. Only 2 council people can talk to each other at one time. But I am so excited because this is the first time since I've been here since 1985 that I've had the opportunity to work with a council that works together. I am so honored to work with this group. I would be honored if you would consider me to be your next mayor again, to let me finish what we got started and work with this fine group of people here tonight with us in unity to make the city a better place. I thank you. I appreciate you coming. Thank you for coming. I want to thank my family for putting this together, and I appreciate y'all for coming tonight. Good night.